every player. It's going to be there's definitely going to be a sense of mystery going up against these monks, and so NYSR is going to probably have to adapt quickly to any interesting comps that Henan monks throws out.
Yeah, I think Henan Monks in the terms of Fathom is definitely the Chengdu of this league. The team that plays whatever they want, does whatever they want. Yeah, doesn't like to play meta usually. Yeah, that's just their play style. That especially when you got Silent Benji on the main tank. He's gonna be early hyper aggro. He's gonna play to have fun. So you're gonna play around him, right? I don't have too much info on the other players from Henan Monks, but I do know from looking at the team doc from NYSR, they do have a lot of DPS players on NYSR. Actually, coming out with 4 of these DPS players at the ready, as well as having 3 tank players and 3 support players for NYSR. So NYSR definitely has a very flexible roster, if anything. Um, I think both teams should be having a decent chance at least at winning. No, I'm gonna just predict right now. I'm probably in favor in NYSR just because I liked what I saw from when I'm pretty sure me and Evan even casted
Yeah,
during
that
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 time.
that, that Pugs game. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
casted.
if you've been watching our if you've seen our 2 Pug streams, you are probably quite familiar with some of the names on this New York Street Rats roster. Drop in Kristen, Silent, I believe Silent. Although I'm definitely about Drop in and Kristen. Were all present during some of our Pugs, and they had some fantastic performances and practically all of those. So if you're familiar, if you've been watching our Pugs, if you've been participating in our Pugs, you definitely seen this name, you definitely heard their names, and you are probably quite familiar with their names being in the kill feed.
Yeah, and that's always really good for the community to know that, like, you don't have to have an in. You don't always have to reach out to these teams specifically just to get your name out there. Like our pugs, the managers and the coaches do actually pay attention to those because they tend to be a lot more structured and a lot more competitive than you would see in a typical like Discord server for Overwatch or what have you. And so it's always good to see people actually get picked up and a roster, made from what seems to be like primarily people picked up from the Pugs roster actually be a top contender. Um, like you guys said that they are a top 5 team. Now, how insane would it be if Monks upset New York Street Rats tonight with, coming out with some pretty wacky and zany off meta comps that, like you said earlier, Bloxers, it's like facing the Chengdu Hunters, at least in the series of old, since they've added more people to their roster. They've definitely started to play more meta. But back in the day, people like teams would always complain that they couldn't beat them, or it was difficult to like play against them because you never played anyone who played like them, because nobody ran ball into goats where you have Jinmu on the Genji just feeding his brains out and getting like 6Ks every other map.
Right, yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, especially when you have players like that have extremely well individual scroll, like you said, Jinmu. It's a really solid player. I liked how also mentioned the maps to see whether which team favors on each of these maps. So for the first one coming out here, we're looking at Ilios. Uh, I've been scrimming a lot, and from what I've seen is, especially in Aloe as well, is the Monkey Diva Mora Lucio Sombra. Pretty sure it's Sombra Reaper slash Tracer composition, which is overall like it's a brawl dive hybrid that really favors the brawl. So we could definitely see that coming up from NYSR. Maybe not that much from Monks. We could definitely see Monks going out on the Baldiva, the Monkey Zarya. Now I'm pretty sure Monks can honestly play any composition here. But in terms of NYSR, we can definitely be expecting either our hard Ryan Diva comp or a double bubble comp or a brawl slash dive hybrid comp, like I said earlier.
Mm-hmm. Ilios is one of those maps where you could run double bubble, you could run that 6-man dive with the Moira Lucio, Reaper Sombra, or you could just run your standard brawl. I mean, there really is. I think it's going to be mostly dependent on what these individual players and what these teams are going to be favoring. Team teamwork wise. But I feel like Silent Benji, although interestingly enough, Silent Benji not going to be on main tank. I believe he's going to be on. I believe he's not. I'm actually. He's going to be on flex DPS here, so Silent Benji won't be playing the tank. So all the talk that we had about Silent Benji on the main tank is not going to be accurate, as he will be playing flex DPS in this round here. So that's just kind of my whole spiel about how any of these monks players could be on any role at any time. That's what we're seeing right now with Benji on the flex DPS role. But I mean, looking over to the NYSR, because this is the very first match that we're going to be seeing for both of these teams, like, at least the first official match. So we don't really have too much knowledge on what kind of comps they might favor. I think my fellow analysts might have a little bit more information with with Scrimbucks. But I think Ilios is going to be one of those maps where we're going to be able to see a lot of what these teams will favor competition wise.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Avia, have you been like scrumming at all to like really know what type of team compositions can be around on Ilios?
Actually, I did just get picked up to the Dublin to Babies. We've been scrumming a good bit the last couple of weeks. Most of the teams that we face have been running exclusively dive on most points except for ruins. A lot of teams favor either a ball composition where like almost double main tank with like a Rhine ball, or we've also seen like rush, but a lot of teams still tend to prefer like dive on this map. Now we haven't actually been scrimming any Fathom teams. We wanted to sort of stray away from that until we got our first game in, so we further kind of understand like what this league has to offer. Because initially the team was supposed to be like a meme team, and we've sort of started to actually like try a little bit recently. But yeah, I've seen a lot of dive. I tend to prefer dive on this map. It can really be run on like any point, even well, lighthouse or ruins. And surprisingly enough, I don't see as much widow on ruins as you would come to expect in a meta where the DPS are so fairly flexible compared to other metas and other points in time in this game's history.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like you said with Widow on ruins, right? Like the point to be made there is that Widow doesn't get as much value as for example, Tracer, Sombra, or Reaper. That just makes it really easy for the tanks just go on the Widow and easily get a first pick. So it looks like we might be getting to be starting soon. We probably be able to touch over a couple topics before we start. Evan, anything you got to say about what you think? What's going to be run on Ilios? Anything that you've experienced on Ilios? What you guys have been doing in scrims on Ilios? Stuff like that.
Personally, as the coach of the Waterloo Wyverns, the best team in this league, no bias there, obviously. But yeah, as the coach of the Waterloo Wyverns, we've been running a bit of that that 6-man dive, Reaper, Sombra, Moira, Lucio, Winston, Diva. We've been running a little bit of double bubble with an echo. It kind of just depends really on what we're more inclined to on that day. We actually just came out of a scrim, and so we've been trying some new comps on Ilios. But I mean, I think it's going to be mostly dependent on what these teams are going to be more preferable to playing, and so I mean honestly, I have my expectations are I have none. In terms of comps, I'll specify. In terms of competitions, I'm not really expecting any particular comp. I mean, the meta right now is mostly just double bubble or like 6-man dive, at least on Ilios. So we might see that from either team. But honestly, the Henan monks, my expectations for competitions, I don't think they'll be running meta whatsoever. But I mean, I think we are going to be. I think we're going to be trying to head in soon as our players are getting ready to start this first map of Ilios. Are there any other closing words from AFU or Blogsters here?
No, I'm just excited to see how this match goes and excited to analyze it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting match, especially this first map. I think if Monks win any of the maps, if they don't get 3-0, this is going to be the map that they win, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, it looks like we're going to be going to caster soon, so see you guys at halftime.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome, obviously, to the first ever streamed match of Fathom Esports Mock Overwatch League. Thank you, analyst, for that great analysis. A lot of hot takes there as well. But now it's on to the game. I'm Ryan, joined alongside my new casting partner, Thread Killer 8D. Thread, what are you expecting today?
Honestly, I'm expecting a not very close match with NYSR as a very good team and Monks, as they are pretty good. I just have not seen much for them. So I'm thinking NYSR is gonna just 3-0 Monks very easily.
3-0? Wow.
Honestly, yes.
Bold predictions. For the first game of the season, like you've never seen these guys in actual game, and you're like, you know what? We got this one.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, any players stick out from you from either of these teams, a matchup to watch or anything like that?
Well, if we're looking at NYSR, I think Ohm is a very, very strong off-tank player, as I've seen in scrims. And in Pugs, he's just been very, very good. And Phrase is also an incredible DPS player that I've seen. And if we go on to Monks, actually, they do have two very good DPS players in Anura and Silent Benji. So I think it could be a pretty good DPS matchup.
Yeah, I think so, indeed. I mean, I feel like the meta right now really isn't too DPS dependent. Obviously, you need to be serviceable, but, a lot of the times you're seeing a lot of that main tank difference, the meme, obviously. But it does, obviously, it happens a lot of the time. If your Winston is getting good engages, not feeding their brains out, and, if your supports are keeping them up, you can't just dive in all willy-nilly without an Ana that can hit you in the back of the head. So, and then, I mean, DPS, they just, hey, well, you just kind of walk up and you finish them off. It's not too important, you know what I mean?
I think the only thing for DPS is going to be that Mei wall. So, like, if you hit a nice Mei wall in a brawl v brawl, that's like an easy fight win. But otherwise, yeah, you're right. DPS isn't very much of a big, like, hit or miss kind of. It isn't much of an impact.
Yeah. I definitely think it'll be interesting to see if we see the rush more or if we see that double bubble, more of a dive sort of composition with the Winston more. It's definitely easier, it feels like, to play, obviously, the Reinhardt composition. You just stick as one and you just hit the other team as hard as you can, But definitely you can see a lot more success come from the double bubble. It's a little harder to pull off. There's a little more intricacy. There's a lot of moving parts to that composition. You need everyone on the same page. It's not really just slam your head against the wall like Rush is. But if you can pull it off, I feel like it's the better composition. But I mean, sometimes Rush is just easier. So Thread, what do you think these teams are running today?
Honestly, on Ilios, I'm thinking they're gonna run mostly Rush on most of the maps. But like, there is a map, Lighthouse is very good for double bubble, and same with Well. They can both be very good for double bubble. But if we're looking in the later maps like Hollywood and Gibraltar, I don't think you're gonna see any Rush. If you run Rush on Gibraltar, you're kind of just throwing. Honestly, like you need to take that high ground on first point. And I think that you're definitely gonna get that double bubble mirror on, or maybe even a dive. Yeah,
I think as we look forward to Gibraltar, it'll, as you said, it'll be extremely hard to play that Rush composition. But I mean, Reinhardt, he can get around sometimes. Don't be surprised if Broccoli wants to charge up to the high ground there on the Reinhardt. But still looking at map one, Ilios, as you said, Lighthouse, you can definitely run the double bubble. Well, maybe preferred the double bubble. You can definitely brawl a little bit over to that side room, that red side room. But and then that third map, Ruins. I mean, again, it's up in there. You could do literally either. I honestly, I think you could. I think it'll just be what these teams are strongest at right now. And looks like everyone's ready to go into the game here.
I think we just start moving into the game. So
yeah, if only the owner of the game would start the game up.
I got it. I'll start it.
As we finally get into our first streamed match of Fathom Mock Overwatch League. It's been a long time coming. Obviously, a very, very new league here. It's been a lot of fun getting these teams together. You know, the free agent trials. You know, that speed tournament we had, a few pug nights here and there, and finally we can all see it come together on one Twitch stream. That is the only Overwatch stream that you should be watching right now. No other Overwatch competitive esports.
Honestly, yeah, I'm just excited to see what they're gonna run here. Right now, we can't really see anything, but let's just see what they pull out. I'm thinking they were gonna see probably either Brawl. I think we're gonna see Brawl from Henan Monks, but we might see a double bubble oriented comp coming from NYSR. And I called it perfectly.
They're still definitely in spawn here. You know, you can't be too weary of what they're running in spawn. It could really be anything at this point, but it looks like the double bubble on one side, and then it's going to be the brawl on the other.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to be running the brawl on one side and double bubble on the other. And let's just see if they can pull out the double bubble against brawl, because that is definitely hard to play. Yeah,
Monks here opting for the brawl. I mean, Ruins, I feel like this is one of the best maps for it. But, you know, Silent, getting that hack early onto the health pack is going to allow a lot of control here from the side of the Street Rats. Just a lot of rotations coming through right now, Thread.
Yeah, that Sombra is going to allow for a lot of, like, dive potential. Oh. Ooh. And Phrase gets picked out early.
Yeah, that's a good headshot there from Benji. It's a dive gonna come in, or I should say Rush comes in there from that Brawl team. Shiba gonna get the boop off there onto Nick off the map. It's hard to boop off a Shiba there. Shiba getting another one too to start out this fight, and Street Rats are right back in it. The first cap does go over there to the Monks, but at the end of the day, it looks like Street Rats gonna pull this one out. Great plays there from the Brig, Thread. I know you can appreciate that one.
Yeah, as a Brig connoisseur, I'm very happy to see when a Brig is leading an ult charge, especially in double bubble against Brawl. That is incredibly hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, great stuff there coming out from Shiba. As now 80% to that rally too. That's going to be huge for starting off that next fight.
Yeah, right now it seems like Monks just needs to look for a big shatter, and that's all they can really do. Maybe even poke for a May ult here.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to the point of May, while it does come out early, but Silent stunned up and taken down in the backline there by Anura. But Phrase gets a trade there, so that's 1 DPS out here for both the teams. And a quick immortality field used up as Broccoli, antied up, stunned up, and dropping comes right into the back with the Nano now as well, taking on 2 more. And Street Rats just in full control of this game right now. Gonna have a little bit of a stagger here onto Nick as well. Gotta be weary because he got that remake, but finally taken out.
Yeah, I think they were actually being a little too weary there. They could have kept him slept for a tiny bit more. You know, just bullied him a tiny bit more and then got the punch off. But they decided to end it quickly, just in case.
Yeah. You got a lot of high ground and ultimates coming online here for the size of Street Rats. But Monks are going to strike first with that Blizzard. It's going to be Shiba frozen up and taken out. But the Graviton surge in the back from Ohm there, taking down 2. Dropping gets the 3rd final blow. A nice hack there onto Nick as well. Can't get the remake kill just yet. Taken out, and it's just staggers all around here.
I think this is just where we're gonna see the off tank, the huge off tank, because right now that grab in the back and the D.Va didn't eat it. It's just a huge play. Even if you get your Brig blizzarded, it's a team fight winner.
Yeah, and now 1 fight remaining here for the side of Monks to get onto this point. And use their ultimates, really. They haven't really used much, but the EMP is going to come in first. That takes 3 out of the fight already. I mean, no ultimates online there. Broccoli's going to get 1. Shiba's going to go down, and they get overtime taken away. Nick, the bomb over the top there, gets Ohm out of the fight. But is it going to be enough? It's still 4v4 here. As Ane, they're getting Anura, and then the Primal Rage of dropping, just absolutely destroying everyone. And a Nano Boost onto the Sombra, because why not, I guess. The anti-nade gets onto Basher, and round 1, full control from the Street Rats.
Fire. Touch me and you'll get burned.
I mean, honestly, I just think for what Monks really needs to do is they need to play more together and use ults properly, because I don't even think they used a shatter that entire fight. The entire round, they did not use shatter, and I don't think they used window either, to be honest.
Yeah, they just didn't get an opportunity.
The only ults they used were the just like the DPS ults and maybe like a nano or something.
Yeah. very one-sided as we do go to a quick pause here. I know that we have about 4 frames a second there on the stream, so we're getting that fixed up real quick for you as best as we can. But until we get there, Thread and I, we can still talk about a little bit what we saw, and I think what we saw is just how, you know, commanding a good double bubble can be, especially against one of those brawl compositions.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at the stats right now, it's looking like Ohm is just carrying with the damage, right? With that grav in the end, it's just huge grav into that just team fight win right away. It's just very big.
I mean, there's just so many resources going in there, and once you get those ults rolling as well, you know, you get the primal rage for one fight, and then Lil C builds up that nano boost for the next fight, and then Droppin can go in and build themselves up another primal rage. You just have full control of the front lines, and then Shiba playing obviously incredibly on that Brigitte, keeping up his Ana and controlling the back lines too. I mean, you have this perfect symphony of Overwatch going on with a composition like that. And I mean, New York, I mean, they're just making it work. It looks great.
Honestly, yeah, I agree. New York has been playing that pretty well, as they've just been waiting for the Ryan to push in. And since they're not very connected or together, they could just dive into the back. And it was just destroying them.
Yeah. It's just like New York, and they just know how to do it. And you can obviously tell that they know how to do it. A lot of the teams tried the double bubble, and they don't really understand how the composition works. They don't understand that it's not a dive composition. It's really more of a brawl composition. And there's a lot of communication involved. You have to have the DPS on the same page as the main tank. You got to have the bubbles ready when the dive comes through, and have the nano. Communication has to be great. And you can tell New York has obviously been scrimming and practicing this composition to perfection. And I mean, running it on runes there, which I feel like is probably one of the better brawl maps on Ilios. It might be a short match here today, Thread.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if they can just stay grouped, but you see, they're running a ball right now. I don't think they're going to keep that ball, because ball on Lighthouse is a bit inspirational, as we'd like to say. But that Somber Tracer, even though I was a bit weary about it because it would be less peel for the backline, they're against a rush comp, so you don't really need to peel that much. So honestly, it worked out for them in their favor, and the EMP just rolled, and the Grav just rolled.
Yeah,
it was just huge.
I think, I mean, I feel like we could also see the rush camp be effective if we can see the monks put it together. As I think it looks like we'll be ready to get back into this match in just a few seconds here. As long as the teams are ready, of course. We don't want to start without them, but yeah, I mean, it looks like, I mean, Brawl Comp definitely still strong, and I mean, obviously map dependent as well. I think you could see it come out here, and the monks, if they work on what was going wrong there, then they can definitely bring it back. It's just, can the speed boost be there to get those isolated targets? Double bubble, half your team jumps away, you have half the team just standing there kind of free, in a way, obviously not. It's more intricate than that, but I mean.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's this time. Both teams are ready. We're all ready. And let's just get back to the match, honestly, and see how it plays out on Lighthouse.
Yeah, I mean, if we can see the brawl another time here on Ilios, it would be in this map, just because it's a little more enclosed space. But
yeah, I mean, I agree. The brawl is doable here. But I think both teams are just gonna run on the double bubble, and we see actually an Ashe coming out from NYSR, but we see the Echo on Henan Monks. So it's just gonna be interesting to see if the Ashe can actually get that counter off.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of pressure onto Anura up in this guy, and no mercy there to help him out. As the dive comes in real quick there, Droppin just trying to take a lot of space, trying to take that high ground away from the side of the monks. As Looks like a little bit more positioning as Phrase gets Anura in the back line. Didn't see that one coming. That's a huge advantage as, again, that jump comes right through from dropping and 2 more kills coming through. Basher, the Ana falling is huge there. I mean, New York has a full control of this entire point now.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much that that Henan Monks can even do here. Like, they lose their echo really fast, so they lose the half the dive potential, and then their Ana drops off the high ground, and then they just lose the entire high ground to a monkey.
Yeah.
So now you have the NYSR just has high ground above them, and then they can just keep poking from their high ground and from their low ground, so they have 3 different off angles on them, and it's just huge. Except we do see Shiba on the brig. They're on the low ground for some reason. I'm not exactly sure if that's meant to be, or if that's by accident, but...
Yeah, maybe just trying to protect Ohm there a little bit. Get in position to maybe protect the point, as well as Benji trying to get something going there on the high ground. Has to use that recall to get down, save a few of those health points. The Primal's going to come out from dropping as well. Already down to FHP, but Anura gets booped off. You're an Echo. How does that happen? As the bash comes through, Shiba takes down Benji. And now this engage again in full control here for the New York Street Rats. As, I mean, Monks, they just can't get anything going right now. Just, it doesn't seem like they can get one good engage. As Silent finishes off Senpai there.
I think Monks is just going in just randomly, honestly just staggering themselves. Their Echo went in, somehow fell off the map. And then their Tracer was just touching their Ana in the Ash, right? Without the Monkey. Or the Echo. So they're just playing like 3 dive characters, but still going in all alone. And they do also use both support ults. It's just a huge loss for them in the ult economy as well.
Yeah, and then an early grab there out from Ohm. Just try to create some space. Basher's going to fall because of that one, dropping in the back line, doing tons of work. I mean, the Winston play here has just been incredible from dropping. Just so much space created, you know, so much damage going through. You can see in that top right, looks like gold damage there from the Winston for so far on Ilios. And now with 1 fight remaining, it's going to be all or nothing here for the Monks. It's going to maybe be a touch here from Benji if they can get close.
Gonna get a touch.
Benji has to get... Okay, Benji gets a touch there. No C9 as a recall comes up, but someone else has to go. It's Benji yet again, and another Graviton Surge coming out there, but this time it's on the side of Nick. But can they find the damage? It doesn't look like this. 2 more players fall here for the Monks. 4 left on the point. It's going to be the copy coming out there from Anura. A Pulse Bomb going through, but it only hits a Primaling Winston. That's not going to do much as Anura falls, and map 1 goes over to the New York Street Rats.
Honestly, I can't say this wasn't expected. I know that sounds very harsh, but it was kind of just domination. It was just straight domination by the entirety of New York Street Rats. These 2 boops on the brig were just massive. I don't know how this happens, but it did. It happened.
I mean, it just kind of set the tone for the rest of the map, really.
Yeah.
You know, just an early fight like that where you get 2 quick boops off, and I mean, you're like, oh, now you know what kind of aggressive domination we're gonna see come out from this team. Street Rats again, just full control. Ohm doing a great job there on the Zarya, perfect bubble timings. But I want to definitely shout out Droppin', the main tank. So much space created, just so much perfection. You know, not overextending, not dying. Maybe I should look back at the stats, but did Droppin' die at all that map? Who died really on New York?
I don't think anyone died except maybe the brig once to a May freeze.
Yeah, maybe chat has a better idea there, but just incredible stuff there from New York. You know,
yeah, honestly,
I caught you a little crazy for suggesting the 3-0 right away, but I mean, New York just looks so good right now.
I mean, honestly, yeah. New York is looking incredibly strong right now. And it's not just like a tank diff. It's not just a tank diff. It's not just a DPS diff. The supports are also keeping them up, and they have not died like basically once, right? So like the brig is keeping up the Ana in the back. The Ana has been dived, but nothing's happened to the Ana. And the Ana is just keeping up the tanks. And it's honestly just huge. It's just great. Huge plays by NYSR in general.
Right. Maybe Monks can find an answer here as we go to a short break. Sit tight at home, and we'll get this stream rolling as best as we can. Hold on real quick.
Mission failed.
All right. And I believe we are back here in our match of Henan Monks versus New York Street Rats. Quick little break there. Hopefully we can get everything going for you. Hopefully it looks a lot better for sure. Don't want you watching a slideshow here. But now it looks like the teams are readying up. It looks like both teams are ready. Everyone's in the lobby. Stream, I bet you've grabbed your popcorn, grabbed a drink. We gave you the opportunity to do that. I know that first map was very exciting. We wanted you to get a break. But Thread, what do the Monks have to do to get back in this one?
Honestly, I think the Monks just should stick to that Brawl comp because they looked a lot better on the Brawl comp. But if they are going to play the Brawl, they just need to like stick together more, not really split as much as they've been doing. And they just need to get their ult rotations on as well. Because as of right now, they haven't really been rotating ults. They haven't even been using ults, to be completely honest.
Yeah. I mean, it's been not too good for the Monks. But once they get that communication going again, maybe take a step back, take a chill pill, as a lot of people say. Just clear the mental. And hopefully this break may have helped them as well. Maybe they can get this going. Hollywood, probably not the best map there for the Brawl either. Maybe a little unfortunate for Hen and Monks here as well, as we go to a basically double bubble oriented map pool where it seems like Brawl doesn't work, as both teams are ready, Caster's ready. It seems like everyone's ready right now.
Yeah.
So we should.
Everyone's been ready. So let's just get right into the game.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hopefully we won't see such a blowout again in another double bubble map, even though NYSR has been so good at the double bubble.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can just see something. Maybe a tiny bit different.
Yeah, and I don't think looking at this game you can discredit Head and Monks after that first map. I mean, if we see one of the weeks where you go maybe King's Row and Li Zhang or something like that, that's very Brawl oriented, very rush oriented, and you might see a team like New York maybe lose out on a week like that to a team that's more fluent, I should say, in the rush Brawl Reinhardt compositions, like the Hen and Monks are. So it really just depends on what you're getting each week. As we go into Hollywood, we'll see what comps they're trying to run here. Still got Monks here on the defense first. So they can't make any swaps. So I guess we can take a look at theirs. And they have Echo, right? Okay, so they're going for the full Brawl here on the defense, which I think can work here. But, I mean, it is not going to be good if you go over the second point on that rush composition.
It is playable. I've played it before in scrims. Like, you can just hold that high ground and then attempt to get a nice Mei wall on them as they're rotating in. But as you can see, they're just actually holding the low ground. And their D.Va's the only one. Their Bap's on the high ground. Their Lucio's coming up to the high ground. But we will see this map get started off with a double bubble versus Brawl right in the beginning.
Yeah, and if Street Rats can pull off the double bubble like they did on Ilios, then this might be a tough map here for the side of the Monks. A charge comes through. Broccoli taking Ohm out there. A great freeze into the pin there. Great set play, it seemed like. It buys them a little bit more time here. 30 seconds already off the clock. And basically no positioning at all here for the side.
Yeah, you see Drop N. He just goes in with a very nice bubble by Ohm. And then he bubbles himself as well with very good bubble rotations. But Ohm just gets walled off and screwed.
And you do see a little bit more position coming up there as Ohm goes over to the D.Va, but Silent taken out pretty quickly. And the freeze coming over. I mean, it's just like a mess right now, but a good anti-nade there gets Silent Benji taken out. So it's a little more even now, especially with those respawns a little bit closer. And now the pinching maneuver is coming through here. Street Rats trying to take some positioning, trying to force Monks into the place that they want to play. But a quick window's going to come out, and Basher in the backline manages to get phrased. But the Nano still going over there onto Droppin, gets overloaded there on the Batiste. But that's all that they're going to get there. They're taken out by Nick there on the D.Va. Ohm has to quickly fly out of there and try to get back into spawn. They do, but another failed fight there for the side of the Street Rats.
To be honest, I'm surprised that we're not going to see any swaps going on to maybe like a Lucio and a Moira to just get that like shadow dive going, because you can see the Sombra, the Tracer. So I'm just surprised we're not seeing really a Lucio, and we're seeing a Brig, even though there isn't really much to appeal for. But yeah.
Another dive coming in. Anura getting the headshot there onto Lil C. The pulse bomb there, only going to find the immortality field. That's why he has it. And again, another failed fight there. As, I mean, back into spawn goes Street Rats, and this is definitely surprising. Did not expect such a strong defense like this right away.
Honestly, I think it's just lack of appeal for the Ana on NYSR, because if you saw, the Mei walked all the way behind in their backline and just started freezing the Ana, and there was nothing they could do at that point except for cry and plead.
Yeah, another just. It just doesn't seem like Street Rats have been able to get the positioning that they wanted so far in these fights. Just another high ground there, and it's going to be the nano boost into the backline there for dropping the bomb. Going to take down that immortality field with a window coming up. Broccoli going down there. A nice freeze there is overloaded, finds the headshots, but is it going to be enough to bring this fight back? It doesn't seem like that. Benji goes down, and it's one last Baby Diva standing on the point. It's not going to work out. As finally we see that defense crack, but big props there for Henan Monks to really put together something strong.
Yeah, I mean, Henan Monks held that for a long time, and honestly, they held it for 3 minutes longer than I expected. But you can see they actually did not use very many ults on the Monk side. But from NYSR, you see they used Nano, Primal, and Bomb as well. So these 3 very good ults to engage with. So right now we're probably gonna just see them try for an EMP fight win, and maybe even a rally on top of that. But they can just easily counter that on the side of Henan Monks.
Yeah, you're definitely going to see that come through as the beat comes out early there from Basher just to counter that dive a little bit. And the high ground just trying to be controlled here by that Winston dropping, going to be eventually shoved off there as they drop to half HP. It's just too much pressure here on the high ground from that McCree, from that Ash to really get anything going. But as Silent Benji falls, it might just be the opening that New York Street Rats needed there. Overloaded drops over to the cart just for a second. It looks like they're going to try to stagger it out. But New York going to keep this cart moving just a little bit more.
Honestly, I thought that the Hanamons had it. After the first EMP, someone on Henan booped the EMP. I think it might have been the Diva. That was like a very good boop. So it only got the tanks, and then the Lucio did beat it. But yeah, they end up losing just because they didn't commit any ults. They only seem to commit the Lucio beat.
Yeah, if you start using ults there, you might see that fight go in a different direction. As a shatter comes out there from Broccoli, but is there going to be any follow-up? Bomb over the top with the high noon into the back. Nick gets 2 there as Phrase only gets 1 with that high noon. And into the front lines go the Henan Monks. Swinging is Broccoli, takes down those last 2. And finally, a good ult storm works out in the favor there of the Henan Monks. It's crazy what happens when you press Q.
And you do see Ohm actually did try go for the remake kill, and he gets the BAP. That's just disrespectful.
Oh no.
Ohm does get the BAP, so we might be able to see them come back with an early recontest just because they're down their BAP. To be honest, I don't know how that happens. Yeah, it's like 5 people trying to stagger a Baby Diva, and then they kill the BAP.
Looks like they're still gonna be 6 strong here for this next fight. As Anura goes down there, Ohm finds him out. I mean, just no translocator or anything. As the dive comes in now. Overload is going to be another one to fall there early in that fight. You might have to use some sort of miracle gel as a rally coming out there from Shiba. Maybe a little unnecessary, but the cart's going to get moving, and cart's going to get moving into this 3rd point. And honestly, you just can't get picked like that.
Yeah, that pick onto Anura was just what lost him the fight. And then the big dive onto that BAP in the beginning as well. It was just very big. But honestly, that rally might have been a waste. But to be honest, they don't really care. They have 5 other ults to use.
Yeah, I mean, Anura was so close to that EMP as well. That could have completely changed the fight there. As we go into this, maybe definitely more of a brawly point coming through as a big anti-nade comes up and Broccoli's hacked. Can't put the shield up. Broccoli's finally going to go down there. Phrase finds the shot and Shiba gets a kill onto Benji. The Nima comes through from Nick there, just trying to bob and weave the shots from the Sombra of Silent. And with no ults being used into that fight, Street Rats still moving forward.
I think this fight we're going to see probably Henan Monks go for a very early EMP. That's really all they can do. And they might win the fight off of that, but it's going to be very unlikely.
Yeah, you have to EMP first there. The bomb goes over the top. A bunch of EMPs coming out there. Everyone hacked up as Ohm gets the first kill and a few more following there. Nick's going to be DMAC. Has to stay alive for at least 13 seconds longer there. Basher's going to be hacked up. Both of them falling at the exact same time. The window looking lonely out there is the only member left alive from the Monks. And just over a minute left on that push. But it's good enough for the New York Street Rats.
Yeah, I think, honestly, Monks, they held it incredibly well in the beginning. Right with that brawl, they were rotating ults perfectly and just catching out every single loose member that there was. But when you get to the second and third point, at least the second point especially, it's incredibly hard to run brawl there against Double Bubble because of the high grounds. And the high grounds basically dominate that map.
Yeah. It's pretty obvious that, I mean, this Double Bubble comp is basically made to disrupt the rush brawl comp that we see. And so if you run it the way that Monks are running, you know, that very tight together, and then you run the Double Bubble the way that New York Street Rats are running, it's just not going to end well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Street Rats have just been playing this incredibly well. I mean, up until, like, the end there, or the beginning, like, they've been playing it kind of badly. But at the end, when they went onto the high ground-oriented part of the map, they knew they were going to win, so they just saved ults, and they didn't really overcommit any ults except for that one Briggle, right? So they had all these ults coming up on the third point, which is the most brawl-oriented point of this map. This is probably what they were aiming for. So they got the EMP bomb on that third point, and it was just over, because you had 6 ults versus maybe 2. And Henan Monks just waited a bit too long. So we're going to see Ohm on the Zarya set up on the high ground, and we're going to see a Double Bubble mirror.
Yeah. Finally, we see the Monks go over to the Double Bubble. It's again, a nice quick dive there up to the high ground, but Ohm holding strong. Finally gets booped off, but still at full health. Not much to worry about. The counter jump there coming in from dropping. Again, just trying to take that space, but Ohm does it all by themselves. Silent Benji goes down. Is dropping, getting it antied up and taken down. No bubble available there. And that's a huge pick going in for this next fight. No dropping means no counter dive. Going right back in, but a nice boop and a nice stun there from Shiba. Takes Broccoli off, and they're going to pay for it. Now the advantage is completely switched. But Anura switching over to the Widow there. Headshot there onto Silent. It's going to be a nano boost onto the Diva of all things. And we know Diva can do damage. Nick going to get a lot of damage there to take down Ohm. And Benji, 3 kills in a row from the Echo. Just completely take over this fight. And Monks, a quick capture here on point 1.
To be completely honest, I don't even think NYSR knew they had a Widow against them. Because their Ashe was just kind of in the open, and they were kind of ignoring it. But then again, you did see Ohm on the Zarya. He was destroying them off that high ground. But when he got booped down by very nice boops and forced out, that was when you could really see Henan Monks start to shine.
Yeah, definitely. And Anura, another headshot there onto Silent. And Nick taking down Ohm. It's just a roll now here. Taking advantage of these stagger kills. Taking advantage of the space that they're creating. A few switches come to. Phrase is going to go over to that Tracer to look for some sort of a way into the back line here. But just so much pressure coming through here from this front line. Phrase going low yet again. Has to recall and blink all the way out. And it's really looking good here for the Monks now, you know, switching over to this meta composition on this map. It looks good for them as they're going to copy the Winston. Oh, but Benji slept up over the top as the bomb comes in there from Nick, but a good bubble placed there by the side of dropping. But Anura, headshot after headshot there from the Widowmaker. Both DPS dead as the Primal goes into the back. Dropping has to find this kill, but the armor pack too strong and overloaded is still alive. It's going to be the rally coming out there from Shiba as Ohm pulls this fight back with the nano boost. A great one there from Lil C as Basher goes down as well. It looks like this fight will finally be turning in the direction of the New York Street Rats as a great slew of support ultimates bring this one back.
Yeah, in the beginning, I completely thought it was over for the Street Rats. Because after those 2 picks from Anura, like very big picks, I just think that should have been over. But Street Rats do somehow pick it up with that nano in the rally.
Yeah, great stuff there. Frey's going to go over to the Soldier 76, better known as the Legs, and be taken out. A headshot quick there from Anura. I mean, incredible stuff from this Widowmaker so far as Bob trying to contest that high ground. Gets knocked down a little bit there, but maybe not exactly the boot position you needed as Basher goes down. The pressure in the back from the Bob, quite effective there. A good placement there from Silent. There's another dive coming through, but is it going to be enough? It's going to be the Graviton Surge there, getting both the tanks locked up, and Broccoli's going to fall because of it. Shiba, a nice flail whip shot there, takes down that Winston. And without your main tank, it's not going to look good. It's, again, another great headshot, but can't do much more. Forced back into spawn.
Anura's getting so much value on this Widow pick, but it just seems as if their team can't really do anything with it. So Anura's getting like these consistent pick up or two a fight, but then their tanks are just getting beat in the brawl, or in the tank duel.
Yeah, Omen and Droppin have been absolutely dominant so far here on this double bubble composition. Both of them playing it to perfection as another dive coming in there. It's going to be dropping quite in the opposite vein onto that other high ground. Only one bridge connecting those two. Another dive coming up there. It's going to be the nano boost. Overload going really low back there and finally going to drop down as Broccoli's dive was not as successful. And another one team fight here for the side of the Street Rats on second point. Monks, they just can't get anything going right now.
Yeah, and you do see that Monks are making swaps right now. They swapped onto the Hanzo. They used the Nano. They used the Widow ult. I'm just surprised that they're not running any dive DPS with a complete dive tank line. It just, to me, it makes zero sense.
Yeah. Anura's going to switch over to the McCree here. As much work as they were getting done there on the Widow, it seems like maybe McCree's a little bit of a better pick as Phrase gets that stagger kill onto Nick. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't really seem like there's any dive DPS in general. But, you know, Silent can throw those dynamites and get that long range damage just from afar, just to, you know, provide value from range, obviously. And Phrase, I mean, definitely more of a medium range, but still can provide the value as the bomb goes over top there from Nick. It's going to take down Lil C. Just slides off the roof there, but is it going to be enough as the Graviton Surge on the elevator is dropping, takes down Overloaded, and it's going to be the Tactile Visor as well down there from Phrase, trying to take out Broccoli on that Primal Rage form. Broccoli going down to about half HP, going to try to engage yet again with those armor packs from the side of Shiba. Just too strong for that Winston to get any value. There's going to be another rally coming out here from Shiba as Phrase dinks Anura from basically across the map, and it seems like a stalemate right now here between both these teams.
I think at this point, you could see the DPS on Henan Monks just trying their best to get these picks. And I think they're doing a very good job at it. But it seems as if the tanks and the DPS just have completely different mindsets on how to play. Where the DPS kind of seem to be taking these very weird flanks and just going in late.
Yeah, it's going to be Bob out there early from Silent. Just control the cart area. Provide some pressure into the back. As the Nano goes over there onto Broccoli on the Winston, but can't find the kills. You really need to find some sort of value there off of that. But finally the pressure's getting into the back line there. Broccoli's going to go down, but it's still a one fight advantage here in this fight. And it finally looks like we might see the Monks pulling out.
Yeah, I to be honest, I think the dive, the D.Va dove the Ashe, got them off that high ground, was a very, very good play by this D.Va, and they need to be doing this a lot more, as, like, they usually, the Monkey and the D.Va would dive together, which is what should happen, but they also need that DPS follow-up, which they have not been getting. But this D.Va finally pressured off some of their DPS, and gave them that room that they really needed to succeed in these fights. And yeah, we see them, I think they swapped off to the Tracer, NYSR swapped off to the Tracer here. So we're going to see them try and maybe poke out the tanks a bit more and try and poke out the DPS as well. You do see the bomb is going to come out. And the bomb gets nobody on the side of NYSR.
Yeah. But Broccoli does come in with that primal range. Just trying to disrupt the back line, I should say, as much as possible. And doing a great job at it too. Trying to push this cart. You got to end with at least a little bit of time here so you can at least try to win the map. But it's going to be a tough one as these respawns are so close here on Third Point Hollywood. Simon Benji does take down Silent. However, quite poetic, I must add. As Phrase trying to stay alive in the backline, but the Nano goes over to Broccoli. It's going to be the Tactical Visor coming out from Phrase to try to bring this one back. But the tank duo, again in the backline, dropping an Ohm. Take down both the supports there for the side of the Henan Monks. Is it going to be enough? Drop in an Ohm, filling the kill feed right now. And with 15 seconds remaining and a stagger here onto the Baby Diva, it's not looking good for the Monks. Someone's going to have to get back there and touch as quickly as possible. Nick finally dies. Won't be involved in this last fight. Basher can't bash their way onto the point fast enough. Overloaded does get the touch, and Anura's there to finish up what he started. But again, it's not enough. Broccoli's antied up. Broccoli's taking down Anura as well. Both of them die at the same time. Again, Nick's trying to get in, but won't touch. It's going to be another Street Rats map win.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I was expecting a Street Rats map win. Completely honest, I was expecting it to be a lot more one-sided. But the DPS on the side of Henan Monks have been popping off this entire game. And honestly, they've just been doing so well. It's just really surprising to see them do this well against such a good tank line coming from NYSR.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely had a conversation there during the breaks that we had. Monks definitely improving, and their double bubble looks pretty good. I wonder why they weren't even running that to begin with, because it's definitely more competitive than the rushes on these maps so far. We'll see what our analysts have to say about this, as, I mean, obviously, they're analysts. They'll probably have a little bit more to dissect than us, but don't go anywhere. We'll throw it to them, and we'll get some good insight.
Yeah.
Well, that was definitely an engaging first couple of minutes, or first couple of matches, my bad, for misspeaking, from this game. I will say it definitely looked like Droppin was dropping his nuts in Monk's mouth. How do you guys feel about what just happened?
I just think NYSR is overall the stronger roster. Like, I think Monks had a couple, bright moments. To take a note, Silent Benji from the play of the game that we just watched. It's a very solid play on the Echo right there. But overall, I think NYSR just came on top. From what we were talking about earlier, Ohm on the off tank doing a lot of work for NYSR. A lot of times he'd be getting those crucial picks in the middle of the team fight that you need to be getting, as well as Phrase, like me and Avio talked about earlier. That like we've seen Phrase on in the Frigid Combine. We're really hyped this player up. Like he's a really solid DPS player. Definitely someone we should definitely talk about.
Mhm.
Evan, anything you notice, Evan, from either of these teams in this series so far?
Well, I mean, despite Avio's sexually explicit analogy that he made there, I mean, Droppin had a great game. I mean, his Winston play has been quite profound. I mean, I think a more appropriate adage to use there would be he's been dropping it on the enemy backline. If we want to go with puns for his name, of course. But I think overall, I mean, and the New York Street Rats have just been, the overall stronger team, a team diff, if you will. Just looking at like each position, they just look stronger. In the overall, meta wise and individual player wise, NYSR just looks like the stronger team. And I think the majority of that has to do with NYSR having players on their roles. Having a bunch of flex players, while it might be a fun idea, it's definitely going to be difficult to manage as a coach or as a team organizer or as a GM or what have you, because you're going to be trying to balance playtime and all these different roles, and you're not going to be able to build too much synergy. And I think that's and I think that's like really the strong point that NYSR has in this match. It's just the overall synergy between in their double bubble comps, especially compared to what the Henan Monks have been showing so far.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'd like to actually mention during most of the fights that Monks was playing, they were constantly switching in between comms. Like Avery, from what we saw like we saw him playing Brig Zen at the end, which is really interesting. Or I think it was Brig Lucio, and they just looked like they didn't know what they wanted to play. Monks just looked like they were lost. They didn't really have an answer to NYSR. Avio, any thoughts on that you have on the series? Any particular people that you really noticed that shined or didn't shine?
I feel like the people on Monks who actually were putting in some work were Anura and Silent Benji. Silent Benji coming out with a few good Hanzo ults. Anura on the first map definitely trying at least his best to put a lot of pressure on Lil C and Sheba. Or no, it was I think Lil C and Silent who were sitting on the Ana and the
Sheba
on
was
the
on the
Ash.
Silent was on the Ash. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
looking at Ilios, I mean, Silent and Little C, they were just kind of propped up in the high ground. I'm thinking back to Lighthouse. They were just propped up on that little high ground, putting having good sightlines over the point and the enemy chokes, and they were just completely uncontested. Remind me the main tank player for the Henan monks. I'm trying to remember it.
It was originally Broccoli. Yeah. Broccoli was. It feel like Broccoli and Knack were just never on the same page. Just constantly like being in different positions at different times. It felt like Silent, Benji, and Anura were taking a lot of the initiative for the team fights, but just didn't have any like backup from their main tanks. And so if the main tanks are going in one direction, the DPS are going in another, that forces your support staff to choose and pick which one survives and which one dies. And when that happens, and everybody's, especially with the comps that they were running, which was like a lot of dive, or like even brawl, like if you have everybody in every different direction, then it becomes really overwhelming as a support player to actually like keep up with that pace and try to keep everybody alive. And then someone ends up dying, and then the team sort of focuses the people who are not getting pocketed, and then those people die, and it ends up being a 4v6. And then that seems to be Monk's like biggest issue. Like, I understand that they're all off rolling, but I noticed that they were just all kind of playing all over the place, and so one or two people would get picked here, and then the rest of the team would just kind of get steamrolled.
Yeah, like you said earlier, I think honestly, like, Monks just didn't really have an answer on Ilios. Like, I know I started looking like the very dominant, team there. They, Drop-In, for example, like we mentioned earlier, he was really strong on the monkey, taking a lot of space with, as well as Ohm bubbling him, getting resources in the Drop-In, as well as the DPS following up. Like, that overall really strong play on the double bubble composition coming out from NYSR on I think it was Lighthouse that they were playing on. They came out really strong, and overall looked like they're definitely the stronger team. As well as on Ruins, I'm pretty sure they even played some Sombra there, and they looked even really good in there. Like we said earlier, I'm pretty sure Sheba got a 2K on the brig, like we had to mention.
Play the game.
Yeah, it was play the game. It was an awesome play to watch. Very, very solid stuff from your big player. That's obviously what you want to see there. The 1 in a million plays, but you got it, and he got rally from first fight. That's amazing. But yeah, NYSR overall stronger team, stronger composition. They know what they're doing on their composition. They know their role. Overall better team.
Yeah, and then looking also back at Hollywood, we saw NYSR. They were still in the double bubble with dropping on the monkey, on the Zarya, but on that first point, on that first defense from the Henan monks, we saw them opt for a brawl comp, and it really didn't seem to work. But once on their attack they changed to a double bubble comp, they actually seemed to be performing a lot better in comparison to their previous rounds and their previous maps. And so that's going to be very important looking into the next map of Watchpoint Gibraltar. Watchpoint Gibraltar, arguably one of the strongest maps for a double bubble dive centric comp. So being able to see how our two teams are going to compare on that double bubble on those Winston comps going to be very important for this matchup.
Yeah, Gibraltar is by far one of my favorite maps in the entire game, because like for the majority of its lifespan, outside of when Goats was meta for a year and a half, almost 2 years, Gibraltar was just always a dive map, even when it's just one of those maps where faster paced comps, comps that really favor the high ground are very favored. I'm kind of surprised that the monks are running meta, because I know that we all sort of heard that they were mostly running off meta, running what was comfortable for them on their specific roles, depending on the role that they decided to play at that time. So I was kind of expecting more from them in terms of variety in their team compositions, but they seem to be running at what everybody else is doing. and since they're swapping roles and they in scrims, from what I've heard, they do swap roles, I feel like it really hinders them as a team rather than just playing to their strengths, kind of like Clockwork Vendetta did back in EU contenders a couple of years ago, where they just ran what they were good at and rolled the meta because
what
they were
a
just
throwback.
I remember
Clockwork.
Clockwork was such a good team. I remember seeing them play. They were so good to watch. Just enjoy the game, play to your strengths. Their comp is like Arista Hog. I think it was May Torb, and I forgot their support composition, but it's something insane.
They just played. They just played whatever they wanted.
They had a Zen one trick who was a top 500 Zen player playing on 30 FPS because his computer was so bad, and his monitor was capped at 60. So he was constantly playing on like 30 because his computer couldn't actually output 60. It was so entertaining. And I was just hoping that Monks would run out with the same sort of vigor that that Clockwork was, but unfortunately they seem to actually have tried playing the meta, which I think really works against what they're going for. I was expecting to see some really like wacky team compositions run out from them, and it actually put NYSR for a loop, but unfortunately, since they're running meta and they're not really comfortable on a lot of those heroes, they just kind of get unfortunately steamrolled by the NYSR.
Yeah, so looking at these team competitions that we're seeing here, we're gonna have Phrase coming in from on the NYSR. I believe he's in for so I talk my memory here. I believe he's in for actually no, Silent's already in. So Silent and Phrase are gonna be back in for NYSR. I'm going to be expecting like a Tracer Ash here from Silent and Phrase. Two prominent hit scan players. I think that's kind of what I'm feeling from these two. But with the Nura and Silent Benji still in, maybe we can see like an Echo Ash from the side of the Monks. Gonna be a little bit of a difference there, but I can definitely expect both teams to be running a double bubble or just kind of like any like Winston die composition here. Any other thoughts from you, AVO or Blocksters, before we start going back to our casters?
Yeah, I'd like to mention a little bit about Gibraltar, like Avery said earlier, about the map dimensions and it mainly being a dive map. Gibraltar is such a great map in the sense that each point you can play literally any different comp. First point, maybe you could say either favors dive or double shield. Second point, you could say that it probably favors dive because of all the high grounds that they have. And third point, it's definitely long range, can favor Widow. That's why Gibraltar is honestly such a good map, and that like so many different heroes can be played on that map. So that definitely can fit to the strengths of a roster like Monks here. Like they can play their flex picks. They can pick like what heroes they ultimately will win on. Yeah, that's like the main thing about Gibraltar. It offers so much diversity in terms of team compositions. And that's why I'd say like Monks definitely have a advantage coming in here onto Gibraltar, but I'd say NYSR, if they just run their dive oriented compositions, they're definitely will come on top if Monks doesn't have an answer for this map. But it looks like we're going to be going back to casters soon, and we will see you guys later.
Bye. Have a good time.
And welcome back. Map 3 is almost underway here, Gibraltar. Thank you, of course, to our wonderful analyst desk for everything they inputted. Great stuff there, of course, from Blocksters, Avion, and Evan R. But Threadkiller, Monks are down 2-0. They have to win Gibraltar here to at least show signs of life in this match. What do they got to do?
I mean, to be completely honest, we've been seeing NYSR be playing this double bubble, while Monks are coming out in this more dive-oriented comp with double hit scan, which is completely weird. But I just think NYSR has been dominant on this double bubble, so they might be able to hold it.
Yeah, I think we were talking a little bit while analysts were talking. It's really been dropping an ohm. Those two tanks there up in that front line have just been changing the game. I mean, basically every fight you see 5 or 6 final blows there from those two. I mean, of course they're being enabled pretty heavily there by Lil C and Shiba, and then Silent and Phrase definitely getting the damage in. But I mean, it's been incredible. And now that we're ready to go into this next game, or never mind, we're not because whatever. But yeah, I mean, Droppin and Ohm have just been out of their minds so far. It's been incredible. These two guys obviously have so much synergy.
Yeah, I mean, as we see, it seems like the teams are almost ready, but Infected wants to be put in. But I think the double bubble is just going to be dominant on this map because personally, I think double bubble is just better on Gibraltar, unless you can see the Winston Diva work. But that's a lot more coordinated. But we see the teams seem to be ready now. So I'm gonna put us in the lobby and
Yeah, we're being told that Infected can't go in because he's a coach. But I mean, we can come on, there. We can bend the rules a little.
maybe give bend the rules a little. Maybe he's only like 4.4, maybe. Okay, we're gonna be starting the game now.
I mean, right now, how much control does Olu really have over me?
Honestly, just a ban hammer, but that's not much.
What is Olu gonna do? Come on. But either way,
Olu's a teddy bear.
Gibraltar, definitely double bubble dive heavy map here. A lot of space on this high ground, especially this first point and that second point. If we get there, obviously the spaceship in the middle of the map. It's gonna definitely be favoring NYSR here. But hey, Monks looked pretty good there on Hollywood. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this go to a fourth map.
I mean, to be completely honest, I predicted a 3-0, right? NYSR was going to just completely sweep the competition. But Monks do have really, really good DPS players. And they did swap their main tank. So we could see them pull out a W on this map. But they are running a weird comp. They're running Ball Sig, but instead of with a Brig Zen or a Brig Ana, they're running Ana Moira.
Nick is on Ana. Overloaded is on Sigma.
This is just weird overall. They're running Bastion on the side of NYSR.
Oh, Anura taking a headshot there, silent. No longer has a noggin, but Anura, we know how good Anura's Widow is, and we're seeing why right now. Is Phrase looking for an angle there, off to the side. Gonna try to beam down Basher on the Moira a little bit, but Overloaded takes him out. Carp moving a little bit, but the dive's still coming through. Looks like we do need a pause in right now, but just what's going on, Thread Killer? If
I
don't mind me asking.
I don't understand what they're doing. Completely honest. It's just I'm assuming it's just a Widow diff.
What is anyone doing? I mean, you got Phrase on the Bastion of all things. I don't really see how that one works out.
I just don't get it. I simply do not understand. Yo no comprende. They're running Sig and Ball, and it's working.
I mean, well, not anymore. Gish no longer is in the game, but other than that, I mean, Anura, of course, already almost has the sights there, which I guess, not really that impactful of ultimate. It's useful, but it's just a testament to how much damage that Widowmaker has already been putting out so far on Gibraltar. But Nick going over to the Ana, Overloaded over to the Sigma. I mean, I take it Overloaded is maybe just more comfortable on the Sigma than Nick is, and Nick's like, "Hey, Ana, I'm pretty good at Ana too. We could just switch this over. It'll work out better, maybe." Just maybe just a little bit more comfortable for one of those players. Probably Overloaded, probably a little more comfortable on the Sigma than Nick is, because we already saw Overloaded pretty much pop off. One of the only shining spots there, for the side of Monks. So interesting stuff. But I mean, should be exciting to see this game go on a little bit more.
you see Gish is actually, his internet completely just died. So they're going to be putting back Broccoli, who I personally have never seen play ball, which is, I'm assuming why they swapped Broccoli out for Gish, so then he can play ball and be a ball one trick OTP. And maybe they swap the ball.
Yeah, maybe that just messes up their entire comp. It seems like I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It's been a wild night here at Fathom. I mean, that's what you get for the first game of the season. Not technically the first game. There's been a few other games, but this is the first stream game. I mean, it's been a wild night. Monks really pulling out all the tricks. You're going to the last page in the book to find a way to bring this map or this match in general back.
And we see Gish is actually back, which is an insane turn of events.
Oh my god, he's back.
The man, the myth, the legend, Gish is back. Right. And it seems that both teams are R.
Yeah, so we are going to be going in.
Yeah, I'm going to on pause now.
Yeah, a lot of pauses so far this match, a lot of breaks, but I mean, it's all worth it. All these teams just trying to get everyone on a fair playing ground. Silent Benji is going to be the first to fall there. Frey's going to switch over to the Tracer. I think we're going to see a little bit more of a meta comp starting to come out here from NYSR thread.
Yeah, I mean, we do see the Widow on NYSR is actually, now he's doing stuff.
Hey, would you look at that? Now he's playing the game. Silent opening up this match right up. Basically a can opener, and it seems like the Monks are just a can of tuna. Silent's a little hungry there, and just so much space being taken over. Nick emoting there in the corner. Interesting strategy, and then no one touches. You know, I think I like this strategy coming out from the Monks where you just don't play the game. You just let them have it. It really messes with their mental thread.
I completely agree. I mean, the emote strat, it's very, very powerful by this Widow. Yep. Like, you know, they just don't kill you. They don't see you. You know, maybe you had a headshot mid-emotes. You never know. Am I still in emote jail? I'm assuming they are in emote jail at this point.
Yeah, so a lot of space created there off the back, of course, of Silent, who switches over to the oh god, the Sombra, and a Nura headshot there onto Phrase. A lot of high ground control. Oh, look at Ohm on top of the ship here. No one even close to contesting Ohm up there. Almost, or has that graviton shirt, I should say, as the nano boost goes on to Nick there. Or not Nick. Nick dies. Ohm is the one that dies there. Just incredible stuff from the top ropes here. So much space created there up in the high ground. I mean, just a whimpering fetal attempt here from the Monks as Nick's going to try to battle his way out of this one. Basher as well going over to the Zenyatta. There's a few switches coming in here. A few
a Bastion swap.
Yeah, unexpected. I mean that's, you get the upper hand on your target as Anura headshot. Anura is so good. I mean, team owners, maybe send this guy a few DMs after this game.
Slide into his DMs, get him on your team.
Yeah, Gish go over to the Winston here. Maybe a little bit more of a meta comp coming out now as Benji goes over to the Doomfist. And we see one fight here after a very brief second point. Third point might be a little bit more difficult here for the attacking team.
Yeah, for double bubble on third point, it's a lot harder to take that space with a Zarya than with the Sigma, as the Sigma can just hold the space much better, I guess. And the Doomfist is going to get picked off very early, though.
Yeah, using all your cooldowns to get up there is usually not the best idea. Phrase has a few easy shots there. Silent close to that EMP as well. That might be useful in this next fight as a card just being contested right now. The Discord Orb on drop and it's going to just... You maybe not let that dive come through as Anura wins that Widow 1v1. But it looks like the EMP is going to be coming through here from Silent. No, actually just maybe trying to bait it out there. Is Benji going to be able to find the focusing beam and another kill? Droppin does manage to get that trade, but it's still an advantage here for the defense. Monks holding strong right now, and it seems like maybe it's working. But Droppin, nano boosted, going in, has a Discord and an anti-nade on him. It's not that fun to be a monkey, but Nick's gonna go down, and the EMP over the top, but Anura's trying to bring this one back. doing the carpe treatment right now. It's just headshot after headshot. Still alive on this bridge. No one contesting. Gish, a melee there onto Silent. And bringing this one back. Anura again. Mid-air shot there. Dropping, goes down. And my goodness, Thread Killer. Anura is unstoppable.
Right now, they just need to contest Anura, but they are not doing that at all. So I, personally, would just tell Ohm, even though he has the Graviton, just to go Diva. They need to get that Widow, because the Widow is honestly carrying their team right now, with like 3 picks consistently every single fight. And you do see NYSR uses 5 ults that fight, and they don't win. That is just a huge disappointment.
The EMP there is definitely an investment that I didn't think would have happened. Is Phrase, or Gish I should say, going into that backline, getting Shiba down. And is that enough there to win the fight as Droppin goes down as well? But Gish had to trade the life there. As Ohm grabbed up there, but overloaded, hacked up. No damage coming through there. And now that Zarya uses the Graviton Surge right into the back line. 3 members caught up. Anura's down. And Ohm again doing all the work. Incredible stuff there from undoubtedly one of the best candidates for player of the match so far. It's going to have to be a quick recontest there. Gish coming in. Almost hacked up there, but still alive somehow. Finally hacked up there and taken out there by Ohm. Another final blow for the Zarya. Benji has the nano boost, but can't really get out there. Can't do anything about it. Doesn't even get the blade online. Overloaded goes over to that Roadhog, but it's not going to be enough. Shiba falls, but so does everyone else on the Henan Monks. And a quick cap there.
I don't know if you see the damage difference, but Henan Monks with Anura is just completely dominating the entire DPS line of NYSR, so that Ohm is the only one, and Ohm and Drop N are the 2 top damage dealers by about 4,000 onto their DPS. It's just ridiculous.
Ohm's stats right now are incredible. 6,500 damage. I mean, Anura's almost close there on the side of Monks, but like it's, I mean, just an incredible player. I mean, we couldn't hype him up more, it seems like.
He also only has 1 death, while everybody, like their DPS on that team, have 5. And if you look onto Henan Monks, they have 4 is their least amount of deaths, and it's on their tanks. So you can see Ohm, he's just putting in the work that's needed.
14 final blows is, again, incredible. And if you look at it, I mean, 14, you're almost at 50% of the final blows. It seems like we have, what do we have here? We have, what's 18 plus 14? I don't know. That's math that I don't feel like doing right now.
32.
But 32, thanks, the Red Killer. That's why you're here. But 14 out of 32 is a high percentage of final blows there from Ohm. We'll see if they can keep it up here on the defense. Boop down pretty early there. Maybe caught out a little bit. Hyping up Ohm. Maybe a little bit of cast and curse. Ohm's going to be the first to fall in this fight. A great dive coming out there from the Henan Monks. With the teleporter going to go up there. What's Phrase going to do with this one? Go onto the high ground. Onto the bridge. With a diva there met. And those blasters. That's not too great there as Silent goes down as well.
It seems as if they are doing a little bit too much trolling, as they would say.
Yeah. Maybe just a tad. Stop doing a lot of trolling. Maybe do a little trolling. Maybe that'll make things a little bit better here. Silent and Phrase switch off of that DPS duo there, and another dive in here from Gish. Is Phrase going to be the first one to fall? A great jump there as Shiba finds the trade, but both DPS now out here for the Henan Monks. Not having the best map that we've seen so far, or not the Henan Monks, sorry, from New York Street Rats there. As Henan Monks are the ones actually pushing the aggression right now. Gish, another jump there into the front line. Is it going to be enough? I mean, Gish putting in tons of work, manages to get that Primal Rage out. Is he going to be slept up? He's going to be antied up. But I don't think any more cooldowns are available down there from Lil C. But the card still moving a little bit, however. Still being a little bit contested as the Nano Boost is going to go over to Silent Benji on the Junkrat of all things. Not going to get the damage done as Street Rats somehow holds here on the low ground.
I'm just confused at this point, honestly. We see Benji on the Hanzo, he just jumps inside of the double shield and then gets rolled, right? But the Henan Monks are still up picks in that fight, so they should have won that. But you do see the Street Rats just have the spawn advantage, and they come back to win. And that's a huge pole spawn by Silent.
Yeah, I mean, not only do you get Basher dead, who could res Anura, but then you get Anura dead, who's hard carrying the side of the monks right now.
Yeah, it seems as if Anura is the only one in the kill feed, not dying, but killing things for the Henan monks.
Yeah, I mean, you have to give Anura these angles right now. Really the last hope here for the monks as the flux goes up. Gish getting a little low there and actually going to be taken out. The res going to come through there from Basher. Manages to stay alive as Phrase goes down. So now it's a +1 here for the side of the attacking team. Monks trying to bring this one back. Trying to just stay alive in this series. With a minute and a half left, you got to get something going pretty soon. But more final blows coming in here for the defense. Droppin's going to take a nap. That's fine. I mean, just taking a chill pill there. But it's just not looking good here for the monks. They started off strong here on their attack, but they've really hit a wall. And now Nick low might get staggered out, but manages to get Basher there. Oh, great save there from Basher on the Mercy.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it just seems that and Drop N are just completely dominant with keeping the space, as they are against complete dive, but as they do get like 1 or 2 picks, they just always lose the fight on Henan monks, so...
Yeah.
Oh,
a great rock there by Ohm. Gish, no value from this nano boost. Maybe a little bit of a damage reduction, but Gish still gonna fall, and with Basher down as well, another lost fight is inbound here. Anura can't find the headshots in time. Phrase takes down Nick. 28 seconds remaining, Thread. This isn't looking good here for the monks.
I don't know if you actually saw that, but Drop N on the Orisa, he had a nasty pull onto that Mercy. And with the Nano, just to pick them out very early. And I just think they're just keeping the space, playing exactly how they need to in order for this win.
Yeah. 5 seconds remaining. Someone has to get close to that cart. Looks like Gish is going to make it. And a few ultimates online here, but Anura's going to be taken out. Benji, headshot as well. No DPS, no Diva. But can the backhat come through? Can Gish do it? No, 0.57 meters. It has to be the best primal range I've ever seen. But Phrase takes them down. It's not going to work for the monks. No reverse sweep today. The New York Street Rats win the first match of the season.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, I called it, I guess. It was a very close game in the beginning, or in at least a second map. In the third map, they might have had it. They might have had it done. But the third map, I guess they just kind of got steamrolled on attack, couldn't even push through first point.
And I mean, when you have to go against Ohm like that, it's gonna be hard to win an Overwatch match. Just incredible stuff there from all the players of New York Street Rats. I mean, just, main tank difference, off tank difference, just team difference. It seems like you can definitely tell that Street Rats have been scrimming, practicing, VOD reviewing, doing everything necessary. They're looking like one of the top teams in this league, Thread.
I completely agree. I think Ohm has been very dominant. Drop N also very dominant. And I just think, like, who are we going to pick for the MVP? I personally think there were a lot of very good players on NYSR. But to me, it seems like it can't really be those DPS, as Anura was just popping off so much onto Henan monks.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, Silent played a pretty good Sombra when we saw that Sombra come out, and the Ashe was not too bad. But Anura definitely controlling that matchup there, and also Lil C and Shiba there on the support. Definitely players to shout out for sure. Great stuff from them. Just, I mean, nothing to complain about really. Just doing their jobs, but nothing too flashy. Because you know who was being flashy, Thread Killer? Ohm234. Ohm234 was being flashy. Just obviously our MVP for this match. The final blows, damage done, protecting the back line. Ohm is just a nutter. I mean, we're gonna get him in here for an interview real quick. Maybe we can dissect a little bit about what goes into his game plan. Maybe learn for when we have to play against him, huh, Thread?
Yeah, honestly, I would like to know how to fight against that tank duo with the Drop N and Ohm. They feel just very synergized together, and I want to see how they actually got that ready by only week 1.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible what these guys can do. So, I mean, while we wait for Ohm, however, I mean, a big shout out to the monks. Definitely Map 1, definitely not a great map there for the monks, but you could see them adapting and learning as the match went on. They made it closer. They definitely have a bright future ahead of them. Maybe if we see another rush meta come through, maybe a few more rush maps, we can definitely see some great stuff coming out for the monks. So don't take this as a brush on the shoulder. Hold your heads high there, monks.
And it seems that we are going to be bringing in Ohm very soon.
Eventually.
Hello, Ohm.
Yo.
So that was some very, very, very good gameplay I saw from the Zarya especially, and also the Sigma at the end seemed very powerful.
Okay. So like, where the fuck is Infected?
Whoa!
Oh, so Infected, as he was probably the best coach you guys have. He
Okay,
he
yeah,
did
but
not
he got match
play.
MVP. So like, where is he?
Actually, the casters, they choose the match MVP for this match.
That's
I'm very
stupid.
sorry, Ohm. So we see Ohm is actually just upset that Infected, his boy Infected, didn't get the match MVP. But Ohm did do very well on that Zarya and on that Sigma. And he did swap over to the Diva and he did do some very good plays there. But a few tiny downfalls were that he kind of got caught out early. I'm not sure if that was because they were winning so easily or I mean, no offense to monks, but they did seem to do a little bit of trolling with the double shields comp, which is very weird on Watchpoint Gibraltar at least.
Hey, might as well practice it while you got the time.
Yeah.
It worked, so. Well,
I mean, yeah.
Either way, definitely an interesting interview there from our match MVP. But hey, wouldn't have it in another way. It's been a long night here at Fathom. It's been a great night as well. Thread, do you got anything else to add?
I mean, honestly, for the first match, it was a tiny bit scuffed. A few kinks we need to work out, right? But that happens everywhere.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it was a very, very good match to start out with, just with the slight trolling on the last map, maybe a slight trolling on the second map with a Bastion pick even. So it was a very interesting map to say the least.
Yeah.
But I think we got a good showing from NYSR with how dominant they have been in these maps. And from Anura even on Monks. That is a very, very good player we see. And we might be able to see a bit more of that later in the season and how they can play to the strength of Anura's Widowmaker. And yeah.
Yeah. And now we have a favorite for the Widow 1v1 tournament. Whatever.
Honestly, yes. We got to give it to Anura. Even though Dio did win the original Widow 1v1 tournament, Anura has been pretty dominant lately.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, it was a great match. Thank you, everyone at home, for joining us and sticking with us for this long, scuffed match, as Threadkiller said. Look forward to seeing you again shortly. We, of course, have tons of more matches coming up soon. And, of course, follow the stream. Turn those notifications on if you haven't already. If you're new here, stay up to date. I mean, if you're in the league, you want to watch the streams to get information on other teams and everything like that. But I'm Ryan, joined by Threadkiller. Great stuff on the analyst desk from Blocksters, Avion, and Evan R. Grug, thank you so much for producing. Olu, thanks for yelling at us in the chats. Everyone, have a great night.